Hi, this is Alonzo Bodden, and you are watching Talk Show on the Go. They go and talk at the same time. It's amazing.
Amazing. It's Magic with Alonzo Bodden today. This talk show's on the go with Alonzo Bodden, a dear friend of mine, a comedian, and a car lover. Am I right?
Yes. Motorcycles first.
Motorcycles before
Motorcycles
cars,
first, and then cars.
before superheroes? I understand that you're.
I am a bit of a comic book guy. Not super, but you know why? Because I grew up with them in the 70s. So it's like I know their backstories of the superheroes. Like I can't go, match a current nerd who's all in and knows every story, but I can hold my own on a comic book conversation. Yes, I can.
Have you ever read the other comics, Uncle Creepy?
No, no. I'm talking Marvel.
Just Marvel, straight
I'm a
Marvel.
Marvel superhero guy. Hulk is my guy. I love the Hulk. A big Thor fan. Um, somewhat Spider-Man and Avengers. Yeah.
So we do need a superhero that's a comedian. Just not to promote and like put this out there, but like just think about what kind of superhero do you think I would be? Like, would my superhero strength be I could talk you to death?
No, because you can already do that. So that's not a secret power. No, you would be. What would your power be? I think your power would be invisibility.
I'd
Yeah.
love to do that.
Yeah, you'd be a fly on the wall. And then they'd be about to do something, and you'd be, really, you want to do that? Because I can tell everyone what you do when you're alone in your room. And they'd be like, never mind, I'm not going to commit.
Wow. I like that. That would be like Superfly Sunda. And he has some news for you about the hair. Tell them.
This is her hair. This is, to anyone watching, this is her hair. I've seen Sunda's hair so many ways, but this is genuinely her hair. Because it's funny to me how much of a thing
It is.
black women hair has become.
Right.
Right? It has become, I guess, because if you're black, you grow up in a black community, you're used to it, and you know that black women have 100 hairstyles, and they do their hair right, and they that's their thing.
Right. It's all about the hair.
Right. So when this has come up now with like Gabrielle Union and the issue, I want to touch your hair. It's like, what the hell is wrong with you? Like, it's her hair.
Right.
And yeah, her hair can look completely different tomorrow. And that's just
the beauty of black hair, by the way, is
Yeah.
that you can do so many things with it, but
And none of them are easy.
none of them. This is not easy. This is not easy, Alonzo.
This is
easy, right?
Easy. Let me. I used to have in the early '90s. I had a high top fade.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did. I even had a Gumby in the late '80s. Yeah, in the early '90s, I was high top fade, but I did have a Gumby for a period. And my barber said, "Well, what if I shave it all off?" This was like '92, '93. I said, "Yeah, what the hell?" And she did. And I never went back. I was like, this is the most low maintenance. So I shave my head every couple of days. I'm unshorn now, so I got a little
stubble.
buzz. Yeah, a little stubble. But and this, what happened here? So this is just a few weeks ago. A friend asked me, "Did you ever grow a beard?" And I said, "No, I've never grown a beard. I had a goatee before I never had a beard." He said, "Can you grow one?" And I was like, "I don't know," because some guys grow a beard and it's all
Spotted.
and this and so I let it go for about 2 weeks, and it did grow. So I knew I could grow one, but I didn't like it. Like some guys are going with the full gray beard.
Did you dye it? You think of dyeing
No,
it?
I ain't. I'm not that high maintenance. I can't be.
You can't. It's too much.
Every day. So I just ended up shaving it back to the goatee. I'm doing celebrity things. So David Allen Greer did the full gray beard.
He did it.
And Dag, he's all in, and it looks cool. It's his thing. But I saw Doc Rivers, coach of the Clippers, did the goatee, and I was like, that looks cool. I can do that. I'll do the Doc Rivers. So I'm low key Doc right now.
You're not low key. I've seen the motorcycles you ride. I've seen the helmets you have. Tell us, what's your favorite motorcycle and why?
If I had to pick one, it would be it's called the BMW GS. And it's because it's one bike that can do everything. BMW motorcycles are the same philosophy as their cars. High tech, fast, not super fast, right? Like a BMW car. It's fast. It's not as fast as a Porsche, but it's fast and comfortable, and so I like their philosophy. So I actually drive a BMW, and I have a few bikes. I got a BMW Triumph Kawasaki. The Kawasaki is what I rode here. It's comically fast. This is like
It was so fast. You went right to the right. I said, there he is.
this is the bike like in my 20s and early 30s when I rode sport bikes and race bikes and stuff. This bike is that fast. Like I have no business being on it at my age, but a friend of mine, he has a magazine and he asked me to do some test riding with him, and I rode this thing and I was literally laughing at how fast. And I said, I want to get one. So I traded in the bike and I got one. And I told the guy when I bought it, I said, this is going to be the last motorcycle I buy because I'm going to kill myself on this. I have no business being on this thing.
Don't say
So much
that.
fun.
You wear your helmets. How
Yeah,
many
yeah,
helmets
I
do you
do.
have?
I do. I have, let's see, how many helmets do I have? I have like 5 helmets,
That's it.
different colors, different venting for the heat. And so I have about 5. This is what's funny, and I will tell you this, okay? I'm spoiled. Okay, and what I mean by this, and I'm gonna give a shout out to my company, all right? There's a company called Alpine Stars that makes motorcycle apparel. They make jackets and pants and gloves and all of this stuff. And I developed a relationship with them, and they're super nice to me, and they send me stuff to the point where I'm like, okay, I like closets full. Okay, they're like, well, this is the new stuff. But I don't have a helmet, guy, so I have to buy my own helmets. So I
Wow.
don't get helmets free. And bikes, they'll lend me bikes. I always say they lend them to me, they give them to Leno.
Wow.
That's the relationship between me and Jay. They're like, Alonzo, you want to ride this? Yes. We'll be needing it back Friday.
It-
Jay, you want to ride this? Have 2.
It's yours.
Good.
And I had the pleasure actually of having these 2 bike masters together at a We Spark event
Yes. Yes.
with Larry King. Larry invited me. He's like, you got to see this guy. This guy's the funniest. This guy's this and that. And it's Alonzo. And I know Alonzo. So Larry says, I'm going to be going up there and do a few minutes. I go, a few minutes? And I go, you do comedy? And he says, yeah. Did he not kill that night? That's his last performance, by the way.
That was cool. It's people you don't who did stand up for us. We Spark is, for those.
Oh yeah, I'm
watching,
sorry.
It's a cancer care charity that I work with. I host their fundraiser every year. Jason Alexander did it one year.
Yes.
Jason did like
Song and Dance Man, right?
And no, he did straight stand up.
He
did
did.
10 minutes of stand up, and he said he took it from he has a show, like you said, it is a song and dance storytelling.
Oh,
It's
is
a whole
it?
like 1 hour, 1 hour with Jason kind of show. And he said, yeah, he said I just took my stories from that and tried it. But he's a funny and talented guy, so he could make it work.
Right.
I mean, you think about Larry King. He's been sitting there talking to people for what, 80, 85 years? He's been in that chair. So yeah, he could be funny. He's got it, right?
Oh, please, Alonzo, he's telling the story, and I'm not Larry King, although he has my husband's birthday, and I have his wife's birthday. That's why he could not do my November 5th show, so he was going to do the next show, and he got sick. And then the last show he ever did was with you.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes on stage, and he's talking about how Jews always have the best doctor. I have the best doctor. And he has a heart doctor. And he meets this heart doctor in New York, and the heart doctor is missing 3 of his left fingers. And this is his surgeon. And he's an excellent surgeon, he says. But he was just unbelievable. And you're right. It's the people that you don't think that have done comedy. I mean, I got a call here about Robin Williams. And I don't know if you've ever worked with him. I have. And I was wondering how these people found out, by the way. I'm just wondering. But I had the pleasure or the honor of working with him on the same night that Chris Rock came in at Stand Up New York. The crowd was crazy that night. And this is back in the day when it was Wanda Sykes Hall. That's how I always remember her, as Wanda Sykes Hall. Because she would complain about her husband. I was complaining about my husband. And that's how far back we go. Montreal Comedy Festival.
See, you go back with them before me. Now, I did get to work with Robin once, and it was very cool. And he was super nice. The only legend that I never got to work with, I never met, was Richard Pryor. I never met Pryor. I never got to work with Pryor. And currently, the only, I don't know what you even call a megastar, whatever you want to call, is Seinfeld. I've
Right.
never met Jerry Seinfeld, and people are like, well, you're both car guys, yeah, but he's based in New York, and I've had a couple of those where they were like, yeah, he was just here, like that kind of thing, like yeah, he just left, and I, we know some of the same people, obviously, but I've never met him because people always ask, how come you didn't do cars?
They asked me
Come
the
you
same
didn't do
thing too.
cars with coffee, and I was
Right.
like, well, I think he invites his friends, and I don't know him. We've
Right.
never.
We're not
I'm
friends
sure
yet.
if we met and talked cars, he would have invited me on. But
I'm sure he would have, Jerry. You would have invited me on, but you haven't found the Alonzo and Sunda connection. And when we're together, stuff happens. We were just talking about you, Brian Scalero. We were on the
yes,
same year in
yes.
Montreal. I had him on a show that I had on Jewish Life Television, and he says to me, Sunda, remember we were in Montreal and you bombed on stage? And I said, I never bombed. I said, you bombed. He's like, was it me? I was like, yes. I never bombed. He was doing subway jokes in Montreal, and nobody got them. And nobody got them. You killed. Let me tell you something. I became friends with his first manager, and you're still friends with your first manager.
Rick Rogers, yes.
Rick Rogers was his name, the nicest guy who really took you a long way.
Well, and how clean do we have to be on this podcast?
Fuck that.
All right. So I can tell you my Rick Rogers story because Rick was a great guy. So I'm just starting out in comedy, maybe 2 years in, something like that. And Tommy Davidson was doing a show, and I knew Tommy, but I'd never worked with Ray. Like I knew him because we both lived in the valley, we'd crossed paths, whatever. So Tommy's doing this show, so I said, I called, hey Tommy, can I get tickets? And he said, hey, you want to open? And I was like, hell yeah, I want to open. So it was somewhere down in the beach cities, in the pier or something. But anyway, I do my 10 minutes. It goes great. His manager said, hey, I want to work with you. And I spent a summer opening for Tommy. And then like a year later, no, it's 2 years later, because I was 4 years in when I got New Faces in Montreal. So I go to Montreal, and back then, New Faces.
That was a big deal.
There was no internet, so
they didn't know who it was.
Who we were.
That's
They
true.
brought us up after the festival started. They put us in a separate hotel from anybody. It truly was.
It was a big deal.
Kind of a secret.
It was
who
a
the
secret.
New Faces were. So I go on New Faces, and I killed. Not bragging or anything. It just.
He killed.
It rocked. And Rick comes running down the stairs. Right. They had the Industries up in the balcony, and we're downstairs.
Real Industry.
Running downstairs, and he says, you are about to make a ton of fucking money. And the key word is ton of fucking. And I got a deal. Because that was
yes,
the
you
day
did.
when you did that. So I left Montreal with a development deal and came home and quit the day job and became a full-time comic. So Rick was the guy who did that for me. So yeah, we're still friends. He's retired. He moved to Dallas to be near his grandkids, and we stay in touch now and then. He follows my career, and we're good. But yeah, Rick was a good guy.
Rick was a great guy, and he also did the car thing, so that's why I had an interest. He had an interest in cars.
Yeah. He developed, and this was
this is crazy. Listen to this
strange thing. So somehow he was into the internet, and he was one of the first guys to develop the internet sales department for cars. Like now, it's normal. People buy, they don't even deal with the car salesman. But this was back, I guess,
in the day,
early 2000s. He developed this internet sales thing with cars, and he was like, forget show business. I'm getting, because,
made a fucking lot of money.
You get paid on every car they sell. That's the thing about the car business. So now he's setting up this internet car sales thing at multiple car dealerships, and if you contact them through this thing and you end up buying a car, he gets whatever, $100, whatever it was. But the number of people were like buying cars, because again, this is in the early days of internet, and the car dealers are like, whoa, we got a whole new way to bother them. We can bother them through their email. This This is in the days of AOL.
Yes.
This is when you.
I still have mine.
Yeah, remember you used to get a disc? Remember they give you a disc?
Yes.
Look, the kids on your podcast are looking at us like, what the hell are you talking about? Yes.
Explain to them because they don't
You
know.
used to have to get a disc for your internet and you had to load it in your computer and it would give you like 50 hours of AOL.
Right.
Something like that. And
that's how we did it.
They're Googling the old AOL. Stop it. You're nice. You employ the young people.
I do employ the young people. They're very young. The oldest one here, this one's going to be 26 soon.
Oh,
that's it. We have puppies
you know
here.
What's sad? They have no future. Have you seen the news? You have nothing in your life to look forward to.
Is this crazy? We had a great run.
They have nothing. They have pandemics and bankruptcy.
Right. We had the bump. At least I did.
They're waiting for us to die so they can take our houses. That's their only.
They're going to become the waiters now. You're going to become the new waiters. Oh my God! But it's so scary. He's so right. We had such a free time, and we flew, and we didn't have all this maniacal stuff of bag checking. And I remember going to that Montreal Comedy Festival, and George Schlatter's out of his gourd. Okay, and yeah.
Yeah, well, we could, back then you could go to Canada with your driver's license.
Do you believe that?
Right? You didn't need a passport. All you had to have was your driver's license.
That was it.
You could go to Canada.
No passport needed.
Now you can't even go. I don't think you can go to the airport without that.
I think you need so much identification. Now it's just, when I tell you it's so different, now comedy's going to be different. So as of late, when you're talking about the young pups here, they removed certain people from my wall. And I'm only not going to go into it so we don't have to do this in editing. But I was like, wow, is it really that serious? And yeah, it's that serious. Thank God they didn't have internet back then.
Yeah,
the things I said.
You know where I see it? And I wish it wasn't this way? In sports. Right? I don't want to know how an athlete lives off the court. And to me, if an athlete, if he's hooking up with, a bunch of women or he's
it's his business
or this or that, yeah, well, that's what he's supposed to be doing. I don't want to see a 28-year-old NBA player not hooking up. Yes, you get that. You're in the NBA, right? You're in the major leagues. You're whatever. Yes, you should be.
Absolutely.
And don't tell me about it.
Do your thing.
Banging a Kardashian. Well, he's
supposed to.
They give you one when you go to the league. They're like, "Would you like a Kardashian?" You don't get to keep them. You get for the next 3 months. You have one.
The sponsor.
Good. Yeah. Which one? It doesn't matter.
Any of them.
Any of them. Just watch out for Kim, because then Kanye comes along and then your mind explodes. You don't want that.
You don't want that, but he will be president.
One of the young ones. That's a good month. Yeah. You made it to the league. Come on. You led the league in scoring. You get 2.
Let me tell you something. You are always able to do so many things. And what really gets me is that, he can do a sports thing when I've been turned down. Let me tell you something. That's where Wanda always beat me out. Wanda could do a sports show in a minute. They'd get me on a sports show. I would be like, they made the basket.
Yeah, see, they want a little more than that.
I know.
I never got to, I know a few of them, but I never got to really hang with them and work with them, like Chris Spencer.
Right.
Him and his crew, they're all in and they do a lot of NBA things. He got me on a fundraiser with a guy named Ray Allen. So Ray Allen, Hall of Fame basketball
I know
player,
him.
Championships with Boston and Miami, one of the greatest three-point shooters of all time. Super nice guy. He was Jesus Shuttleworth. That's what he was, in He Got Game, the Spike Lee movie. He was the guy who played Jesus, the ball player, right? So I'm doing this fundraiser for him for his school, UConn, and he says, "Yeah, man, I've been a big fan. I've loved your comedy." I'm like, "Really?" Because I never got tickets. I ain't never been to an All-Star game. I ain't never been to the NBA Finals. Just how big a fan are you? And he was just cracking up. But most of them have a great sense of humor about who they are. And this guy told me, and his name will come to me later. I'm blanking on his name, but he was friends with Mark McGwire, the home run hitter. And he was hanging out with him. And he said, "You know why athletes like comics?" He said, "Because we both do something not everyone can do."
That's true.
And so there's kind of a mutual admiration. I also find that with musicians, right?
Yes.
Because we do something that other people can't do. So they admire the level we do it, right? Like as big as Shaq is, he admires Kevin Hart because Kevin can do something Shaq can't do. And Shaq's funny, but he ain't like
Like,
Kevin Hart.
no,
You know what I mean?
not Kevin Hart funny.
Yeah, and that's even though money wise, I don't know which one of them is ahead of the other one. That would be
Wow,
great.
that's amazing.
That would be great to see.
That's
who
a
has
good
more
show.
money, Shaq or Kevin Hart?
Why don't we do a new show about that? Who has more money?
I honestly don't know which one has more money, but but yeah, I love that. So, and that's a great thing about stand up, as you know, if you have other interests in your career, it comes up, and then you end up crossing. Like you get to use your stand up. Like I'll use it, and I'll do some car stuff, or I'll get to do sports thing. I did some of these sports fundraisers. I got to meet um, Pete Rose and Joe Montana and guys like that because I would basically be the opening act when they do their speaking thing, and I would do the comedy at these big sports fundraisers. So you get to meet people and work with people you'd never expect to meet.
Now you see, I got to do more of that, and the people I know, it's amazing. Like when you think about, so I didn't. All right, so I don't know sports, but I went out with like the first black Yankee son, who has the same name, Elston Howard. So I met all these Yankees, and I met like Reggie Jackson and Dave Winfield and all these people through a whole different, world. And then I met this guy in Philly, and it's funny you're talking about NBA. This guy was so tall, like he had to be 6'7". I forget his name, but he says, "You're not a comedian." Whoever this guy is, he was like, "You don't know sports?" And I was looking at his ring, and he says, "And you're a comedian? You know Chris Spencer?" And I said, "Yeah." And he's like, "Okay." But we hung out together. Anyway, Chris Spencer said to me, "You met so and so who got that NBA ring?" And I don't even know his name. I'm so embarrassed. He's like, "Where did you meet him?" But I'm able to have a conversation because, no, I don't know much about sports, and we all know that. And my poor brother, may he rest in peace, he was making a touchdown, and I ran on the field because I heard this guy say he was going to get number 54, which was my brother. And I was like, "Oh, no, you're not." And I went on that field in my pink Reeboks and my mink coat, and I was, banned off the field. And there's one personal memory I have about Alonzo is when I first met him, I was saying to him, like, "You remind me of my cousin Vincent." You remember this?
She's always said that. I remember it because you always say it. Yeah.
I always said it. And then one day, there's this dark lady in the hallway of a comedy club we're working in. I think it was a Laugh Factory, who says, "You look like my nephew." "You look like my nephew Vincent." And I said, "You're going to have to." This is my mother, I said. "My mother laughed at you. My mother laughed at Royale. What? She laughed at everybody that night, but she did not laugh at me. She didn't like me talking about her. But you look like my nephew." And I think that some of our comedy comes from our pain. I think a lot of it comes from the people that we, grew up with. Now, are you from LA?
No, I grew up in New York. I grew up in.
Right.
And it's funny you mentioned mothers because my comedy comes from my mother. My mother was the funniest person I ever knew. She could always make me laugh. And it wasn't just me. Anyone who met her were like, "Wow, I see where you get it from."
Right.
My mom had a great sense of humor. She could always deal with things through humor, which I admired. And this is my favorite funny story about my mom, right? So people say to me, "Were you a class clown?" And I'm like, "No, I would make the guy next to me laugh. Like I just make a quick comment, he'd laugh, he'd get in trouble, and I would just,
Poker face?
yeah." So
Did you go to Catholic
funeral.
school?
My mother's from South Carolina.
Oh, my.
A town called Dalzell. Okay, I'm talking small town.
Small town.
South Carolina. And if you've ever been to a Southern black funeral,
Oh,
so you've been. It's a show. It's a production, and they always love him, no matter how bad he was. Oh Lord, it's too soon, Lord. Oh, take me, Lord, take me. And my mother leaned over. She said, "They're yelling, 'Take me,' but they ain't jumping in that hole." I laughed so, and my grandmother, all I could feel was the smack to the back of my head for laughing at a funeral, right? Here, I'm a kid, I'm at a funeral laughing because my mother said they ain't jumping in that hole, are they?
Oh my God. And let me tell you, it's those times, it's those church giggles that are the worst. They are the worst.
Yeah.
What?
You get in trouble for laughing in church.
I have to tell you my funeral story. So I don't have that. We don't have that Southern thing going on, but my little brother did pass away, and his girlfriend, okay, that he thought was that she thought She was his girlfriend. Comes to the funeral in a gown, like a wedding gown, and her kids are holding the back of it. And she falls in the coffin. All right, in front of me is everybody there from the comic strip, Stand Up New York. All my friends are there. I don't want to, I don't want everybody to see all this. You know what I mean? Like, and then I see her fall in the coffin and I see her twisting his hand. And I'm like, you're taking off his ring. She's like, I bought it. And I was like, we are not going here. This did not happen. And on top of everything, after I had Tiffany and Blair on from Madam C.J. Walker, she started a big thing about how I didn't care about the brother and how I acted at the funeral. And I was just like, you were a show. I was just glad that Mike Marino missed it. That's all. I'm glad Mike Marino was late. Because you can imagine Mike Marino putting that in his act. You ever go to a black funeral? Huh? People, listen. First of all, they got to look at the body for a long time. Long time. Long time. My mother's funeral, God rest her soul, talk about making people laugh. And she was a Jehovah's Witness, and she used to talk to me about Piggy and Wiggy that used to come over to do Bible study, but she never told me their real names. At her funeral, believe me when I tell you, I knew who Piggy and Wiggy were, and I hated my mother. I hated her, and she was dead, and I was laughing about myself. And she said, the one says to me, you don't know who we are. And I said, oh, I know who you are. And then there was something odd as she was looking at the body, and I realized she was wearing the same outfit as my mother was wearing in the coffin. That's what was wrong with that picture. She caught the same sale. Now, tell me what else goes on afterwards. Okay, first of all, he's right. They're the best person in the world, right? Yeah. At the funeral. Tell them about the food afterwards.
And then you eat, and you eat. Child, let me fix you a plate. Somebody got to fix you a plate.
I have to fix you a plate.
Yeah, but it's all good. It's
home.
It's a gathering, right? It's home and it's a gathering. And now at my mom's funeral, so they asked, my brother and sister asked me to speak. It was very funny how the kids each took on our characteristic, so my brother, he's the businessman in the family, organizer, and he did that. He organized all of it. I'm the big mouth, right? So I spoke, and my sister is the irresponsible one, and the food was late. So everyone took on their,
He loves her.
Their thing. I do, but she is who she is. But the pastor of her church was talking about my mom, and he said, my mom ran they called them the Purple Ladies, and they were the auxiliary for the church that did all the charity stuff, right? So my mom was in charge of that. And he was meeting her, and he said, I met her, and she was very nice. She said, Pastor, we like you. We're going to have to talk about a few things. You're talking a little too long. Right? We got other things to do. You just cut it back a little. And then she said, and we need to talk to you about this unholy alliance of yours. He was a Yankee fan. My family's from Queens, diehard Mets fan.
Oh, my God.
And he said my mother called him out, called it an unholy alliance, and said, we don't need that at this church. He said, we are Met fans. And straightened him out on that. Yeah, she was great. She was very funny. My dad was great too, but my mom was the funny one. And I think in school, I'm sure I got away with a few things
because of her.
It was funny to her. Like when she heard you, like, he was wrong, but that was funny. So we both,
But still, at least you didn't get hit for it. So you didn't go to Catholic school.
No. I'm a public school kid. Yeah, I went to public school. As a matter of fact, and I talk about it in my act, I was bused to white schools right before it was a thing. So I grew up around white people. So I never learned to hate white people properly. But by the time I got to young adulthood, and they were like, "You hate them white people," I was like, "Nah, I didn't. I missed that."
Yeah.
I've seen them in their natural habitat. They can be quite nice,
and they're nice to me.
Yeah. So I grew up, and I love it. Like we had our high school reunion not too long ago. I went to a school called Aviation High School in New York, and we were talking about it. And you know this. It is too much work to be a racist in New York City.
Because so much work.
In one block,
forget about it.
You've encountered 15 cultures. Like how you would just to come 15. Up with names for everyone you had to hate.
Dominican, Puerto Rican,
Right.
Peruano,
Right,
Colombiano.
because it wasn't just like here. It's just those Mexicans. In New York, it's like,
Yeah,
well,
break it down.
which group do you hate? Do you hate the Puerto Ricans or the Dominicans or the Cubans or and you better know.
You better know.
You better know.
Don't
And
make a
then all them
mistake.
black people. Well, which one? Because we got the Jamaicans,
The Trini boys,
the Trinidad,
now
like,
Cayman Islands.
which black people do and everything was like that, right? And then you have Italians and you have Jewish, and then you have all those European countries that nobody can name, but they have this vague accent.
Right, and
Right,
there's Serbian, Croatians,
Yeah,
and
it was just, it'd be like, oh man, what are you tired? What have you been doing? I was working racism today. I'm worn out, man. I did 4 blocks of racism in Manhattan. That's why, like, remember when Friends was on, and every New Yorker was like, where is this mythical place where there are only white people?
I know.
What coffee shop do you go to in New York
All white
where
people.
there's only white people? Even the white people were like, nah, that can't. You know what I mean? That's
Not even one. Joey was it, right? He was
Yeah.
Italian.
Yeah. So but I love it. I think growing up in New York, I love living in LA, and I've loved LA from the moment I moved here.
Good for you.
But growing up in New York is an education.
No, you
I was
can't.
just talking with somebody about this. Like, I commuted to high school. I took the bus and train to high school
Right.
when I was 14, and that's not unusual.
No.
Whereas other places, people are like, what? Oh my God.
Here.
You, and it was like, yeah, how else are you going to get there? Yeah, I wish I would have told my mother she need to drive me to school.
Can you imagine?
That would be the funniest thing she ever heard in her life. She's like, I'm on a train? Who the hell are you? I'm on a train? I'm supposed to drive? You better
get up.
get your ass out of bed.
That's right. And get to school.
But I loved it. But and it's true. Like, everyone grows up. However you grow up, that's your normal.
It is. It's
Right?
hard to hate
That's your
everybody.
normal. And it would be great if we still understood that.
It's a different time, though.
We don't understand it. I was talking with Dane Cook a few weeks ago, and we were talking about because me and Dane's cool, and we were talking about the race thing. Something had happened, and he said, "Man, wouldn't it be great if the real world was like a comics green room?"
Yeah.
Right? Anyone in the green room, if you're funny, you're cool.
Yeah.
And we don't care if you're,
What color?
you're black, white, Jewish, ex Latino. And when I say ex, I mean because there's so many different forms of Latin
That's right.
people, but whichever one you might be, or Samoan, or none of the above. Like you got a picture up there of Eric Griffin. Nobody knows what he is. What the hell is Eric Griffin? Nobody's quite sure.
I always thought black, but that's what we think as black people.
Yeah, but Eric could be, and I love him, and we've joked about it. Eric could be like 5 different ethnic backgrounds, and we're not sure, but nobody cares. Oh yeah, it's Eric. He's funny. It's cool, right? And then we go from there, and the world just doesn't get that. You know what I
You
mean?
didn't say anything about Ray Charles and me
Yeah,
being petrified.
I see you got great pictures. The one who I met, I love this interview. It's going everywhere.
No, that's me.
Patti LaBelle.
Oh my God.
You ever meet Miss Patti?
No.
You are in the presence of royalty.
You know it, right?
Patti LaBelle. She is super nice. The people you have to get through to get to her,
Forget about it.
watch your step.
And she doesn't fly.
Miss Patty this, Miss Patty that. But no, she was very nice, but meeting her, you just feel like you're meeting royalty. Like, this is Patti LaBelle.
Oh my God. I could just feel it. I mean, I've
Yeah.
seen her in concert. I'm talking about not meeting her.
Yeah. You have a sense. There are certain people, when you meet them, you have a sense this is somebody
You know who I felt that with?
special, important, or whatever.
Prince.
Oh, that would be.
It made me just, and I didn't even go near him because that's royalty.
Mm-hmm.
That was royalty then. And he was at Nell's in New York. Remember Nell's?
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah. There is Tom Cruise is a motorcycle guy, big time motorcycle.
That's true.
And I know some of the guys who worked on motorcycles for him, and so they meet him in this. And one of them said that Tom Cruise said something to him. This is mind blowing, but she said, imagine knowing that everyone you meet is going to talk about it for the rest of their life.
The rest of their life, right?
You know, that's Tom Cruise. Like if you meet Tom Cruise, that's your story. You got a story now,
Now you have a story.
right? So just he's aware of that, you know, and it's a very like it sounds egotistical, but that really is true. For the most part, if you meet Tom Cruise, you know you're going to talk about that, you know.
For a long time.
And but it's different with actors and comics. Comics, when you meet them, they're still comics.
Yeah, and the people think they can touch you. You're
Yeah,
touchable.
unfortunately.
Isn't that sad?
Yeah.
I know you've been
Well,
touched.
no, I don't. I get hit. Okay.
By the men?
Yeah, I'm a big guy, right? So they reach back.
What's
They
that
gotta hit
about?
that arm, and they got to put something. I mean, they bring it from deep and swing, and they hit that arm, and you just want, oh, if I could hit you guys, you know.
So no, wait a minute. Where's your no family in Georgia? We're not related in no way, shape, or form.
Well, no, like I said, mine is South Carolina.
And you found out the Cayman Islands recently.
My dad. Well, my dad was Honduras, but his family Grand Cayman, and I knew that. So you know, I'm from an immigrant background, right? The Latin immigrant thing, but when my dad came to the United States in 1939, so at that time you assimilated.
Right.
You didn't maintain your heritage. So, and he looked black, you know, he was that.
He's Afro-Cubano?
Yeah. So he just fell into the black community, and you know,
it worked.
That was it. And he came over with his brother and his uncle, but they spoke English and they just dropped Spanish. Like obviously if he came over now, I would be bilingual and everything else, which I would love. I think being bilingual, I love that talent. People who are truly bilingual, and when I say truly, the people who can think in either language. So in the midst of a conversation, in the midst of a sentence, they switch languages because there's a better word.
Sí, claro que sí, porque a veces es mejor para hablar español de inglés.
No, I think it's something I don't have a talent for. I don't.
Get out.
No, seriously, languages. Some people can pick up languages and
really,
them, but I think it's beautiful to be bilingual. Like I had a whole bit about it. Like whenever somebody like go back where you came from, it's like really stupid because they can speak two languages fluently. What can you do? You know, those people you just told to go back somewhere can speak your language and their language. You're struggling in yours, you fucking idiot.
Struggling.
You're struggling with English. They've got two languages at least.
Minimum.
Some more.
Okay.
You know? And it's like, and you're telling them to go back. But no, how about you go back to school? No.
They've been talking about going back to school. You should know the kids that asked me if I could read cursive. Have you heard this yet?
Yeah, they're not learning it anymore. They're not teaching.
Has anyone asked you yet?
No, but they're not teaching them that anymore.
Okay, please think of me when that happens.
To them, it's a font.
Everything's a font.
Look, what did they say? They said they can tell how old you are if you put the O in front of the K. Yeah.
K.
Yeah, Gen Z does. Look, your guys are laughing. They don't write OK. They just put K.
K.
They can't be bothered with the O. They're in a rush.
They got to go.
Things to do.
They have another text.
You can't be typing O's.
They have another text.
I got time to lounge around typing O's for you.
Yeah, there's no time.
You pick up on it. It's a K.
You got to pick up on it. And my daughter tells me don't text more than a line. So I sent everything with just consonants.
Yeah, they don't want to read the book, but some of them, and it's young women, can text so fast.
Oh my God!
That they can say there's no form of communication that can supersede a teenage girl.
None.
They're left. It's amazing how fast, how many ideas, and it's done.
And it's done, and so many.
You're still reading this when they're typing the reply already, and you're like, okay, I can't.
Teenagers, period. Don't even get me started.
They're like, what the hell is wrong with you?
What happened? Right.
What are you calling? You talking to me? Why are you talking to me? What is wrong with you? I love them.
They're so much fun. They really are, you know.
I watch my nieces, they're all young women now. The youngest one is 16.
That's fun.
The young women. But watching them go through their teenage years, because I had never been around teenage girls like that. And just watching the process was fascinating.
Is it fascinating?
And I loved it. And everything is at DEFCON 9. this level of like everything is this important.
Right.
Nothing
Now.
is casual.
Now.
Nothing is casual.
Right now.
Everything is important. I love them. They're great.
I will say they're great, but like they know. My daughters call me to see when I'm coming home, and when I come home, they run in their rooms and shut the door. They don't even talk to me. It's a game, and they constantly call me. When are you coming home? When are you coming home? I go home, and they go in their rooms, and they just shut the door. But at least I know that I finally made something happen here today with Alonzo. I finally got Alonzo Bodden here, and I know I've talked to you, and you came from a real emergency, and I'm sorry to hear that. And
everything's fine. It was a car accident, but she's fine. Everyone's fine. Just the it's a traumatic incident, and then it's the annoyance of it, right? Get the car towed, do the insurance, the blah blah blah. But fortunately,
it's so annoying.
So once you get past and no one's hurt, then it's like now it's going to be a pain in the ass.
Right. Isn't that crazy? That's how it is. I was telling him I survived an accident in my SUV. I climbed out of the window and I wanted that car because it saved my life. And a Kia broke a Mercedes truck axle. Making a turn from Sunset over Whittier or whatever that is. Did you know there's a 10-second law that even when the light is green, you're supposed to wait? Did you ever hear that?
You're not supposed to, but it's good driving. It's good sense when you drive. I ride a motorcycle. When you ride a motorcycle, you're so hyper aware
You're
of
aware
everything around you because you're actually part of the environment. And people ask, what's it like riding a motorcycle in LA? And I tell them it's like playing a giant game of Frogger. Remember Frogger?
So long time ago.
You get across the street in the cars and you go. That's what it's like.
That's in Jersey and Brooklyn.
You stay aware of all times because they could kill you. And now, we factored in the phones, right? That's the person who hit her, they won't admit it, but it had to because they drove. So light turned green. Couple of cars went. She was like the third car going.
I was the third car.
Car came through the red light.
Same thing.
And hit her. And it had to be he was looking at his phone and he didn't see it was a red light. That's what it was. Like they won't admit it, but that's what. How else would you not see
something coming in front of you?
Red and the cars are stopped. You know what I mean? You had to be looking at something other than the road.
Well, the other two cars went, and I was the last one, and they did not allow that. And they said it was my fault. There's a 10-second rule.
In my car, it popped up a warning, and it said something like pylons ahead, lane, because you know how they put up the pylon.
Right.
And I was thinking, like, who would not be looking at the road? Like, why would I need your map to tell me that there are cones in front of me? Like, they're that aware that you're not paying attention to the road that your car is telling you, like, hey, there are cones out there. You know what I mean? I think that's the problem. I think cars have made it's like a thing. Yes, it's safety, but cars have made
you lazy.
Easy, right?
That's why you don't trust that Tesla, because that Tesla can't see if you're driving your motorcycle.
Right. A Tesla, I don't like Teslas because people think the car is going to drive itself, and the manufacturers say no, like you have to keep your hands on the wheel. You can't take a nap. But people think I put it in automatic, and then I don't. Then it does everything. It's like no, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't. I've been in it.
Yeah,
and it doesn't. And it can't find that motorcycle, can it?
No. I don't.
Is that
know.
A fact?
I don't know.
We don't know though. TalkShow on the Go doesn't know.
I think it depends on where the sensors are and what sensor you're. But it's like, hey, so what if you're in Michigan in the wintertime and the sensors are covered with snow?
Right.
That's just a reality, right? And so no, I'm not going to trust your car to not hit me.
Right, because it's going to hit me.
Pay attention because if your car hits me, I'm not going to win.
That's right. There's no winning.
I don't want to be in the hospital calling Sweet James to get me $300,000. Hi, I called Sweet James and he got me $300,000. Of course, I never walk straight again. They would say, don't tell you.
But keep going to Sweet James. That's right. Backbone broke. You can't do that. Call Sweet James.
I don't know if I want my lawyer to be named Sweet James.
I know.
You know what I'm saying? I don't know if I want to be in the court. Because when you tell me your lawyer is Sweet James, see, I think of Sweet James on the corner. Your Honor, on the day in question, per se, I was in the happenstance of, I think
Oh my God, that's Sweet James. That's Sweet James. That's Sweet James. And,
I don't want Sweet James.
and Sweet James got all his baby mamas waiting out there. See,
No,
they love me. They love me.
I want James Wilson Axelrod the third.
That's right.
That's who I want.
That's who you want.
I don't want Sweet
Not
James.
Sweet James. If you want to be lame, just call Sweet James.
I ain't going to court with Sweet James.
You ain't going to Sweet James. He gonna say, fix him a plate. Listen, the first time that my aunt told me to fix my husband a plate, he said, "Where is it broken?" She said, "Fix his plate."
And he said, "Where's it broken?"
He didn't know.
I know. And you were like, "Oh, something."
That's like when my cousin Vincent said to him, "Listen, you got any change?" He's like, "What kind? What, quarters?" And I was like, "Oh no, it's not change."
My favorite is when we finna go.
Finna. Now
Right,
it's something. Now it's a part of their word.
We finna go. And I'm like, where we finna?
They finna go.
Finna.
And I'm writing that now. KK? Well, KK, where could we see more of you? I know you were just in Florida, but I know that some parts are opening up. New York is on phase 4. Where can they find your podcast, Alonzo?
I am at alonzobodden.com and on Instagram, ZoFunny. New York isn't open yet because I was
It's
booked
not.
for Bananas. I was booked for Bananas, which is is right across the bridge in Jersey. And they said no, they're not. I think restaurants are opening, but live entertainment isn't, or something like that. I'm not sure how it works, but and then I had an outdoor thing up in Lake George, and that also got canceled.
Oh, it did.
I think New York and New Jersey don't want you coming in, but
Period.
they've handled their spike pretty well.
Right.
Like, we don't want your ass coming.
No,
You
stay in LA.
got it. Yeah. You stay in California. So, but no, I have some shows coming up. I'm doing St. Louis this week, and then in October I pick up, and I think I'm going to Lexington, Kentucky. I'm going to Portland. So yeah, AlonzoBodden.com, and you can find me. But it's good to be back to work.
Thank you, and it's so great having you.
I love being here.
I love that you made it.
This was great.
I am so glad.
Thank you for your patience. I was an hour late. She was patient.
I was patient, and I had my hair and makeup done by my Jersey girl who waited. She said, "Look, you tell me I had to go," and I was like, "It's okay." So this talk show's on the go. You can find me on Sunda Live, and of course, find us on Talk Show on the Go.